Being a father or a mother to a child and raising kids can be challenging no matter what age your kids are at. However, it's a lot easier and it's a lot more effective if you know how to do developmental parenting, if you know how to pay attention to the stage that your child is at. Welcome to the Steps and Tools podcast. In this episode, we're going to be looking at parenting, and specifically, we're going to look at why it's beneficial to use a developmental approach to parenting. And to illustrate that, I want to look at some of the different age groups. For example, when you're working with a high school age child, you have to think about what kinds of needs they have at the particular stage they're at. And one of the biggest needs and drives for a high school age child is often their desire for independence. They want to do it themselves. They want to not have parents breathing down their neck. They want to make their own decisions, do it their way. So you can be respectful of that while at the same time steering them in the right direction. And in fact, if you understand that need, you can use it for their own good as well as making your life have fewer headaches. So here's the way the conversation can go. Let's say you have a 10th grader and you're having trouble with them getting back on home on time. You're having trouble with them not calling you and letting you know where they are. And so you have this kind of conversation with them. You say, look, Johnny, I know you want to do your own thing. I know you want to go where you want to go, but I need to know where you are. And the more you show some responsibility for that, the more you take responsibility for that and do kind of the adult thing, the courteous thing to just let your family know where you are, or ask me if it's okay to do the next thing, go to the next friend's house, the more freedom I'm going to give you to make those decisions yourself. So as we go along here, if you communicate well, I'm going to become more in the background because I'm going to trust that you're going to do the right thing. The more you try to go around me, and the more you try to just do it your way, and and not communicate, then I'm going to be much more kind of right there, and it's probably going to be annoying to you. But that's just the way it works. It's not because I want to annoy you, but it's because the freedom that you want comes with responsibility. So you show more responsibility, you get more freedom. So that's the way that conversation goes. Now with a junior high age or middle school age kid, there's a different set of needs. It's related to the high school need. They're starting to want more independence. They want to be like the bigger kids. They want to be more grown up, but they're still a child in many ways. And so what happens is they alternate, and they have a developmental need for at that stage of life to be cared for as a child, to be made safe and have close supervision and a lot of support, but they also have a need to spread their wings a little bit and try some things on their own. So one of the reasons it's so frustrating is because it flips back and forth. So you one day or 1 hour, your child wants you to just stop talking to them about whatever because they want to do it their way. They want to think about it their way. And then later in the same day, they may be dissolving into tears and want to sit with you and just with your arm around them and you comfort them. So it goes back and forth, and it's challenging as a parent because you get used to being in a certain groove with one of your kids, and that seems to work. And then suddenly they get into this age where that groove just falls apart. And so it's almost helpful to think of them as wearing a green or a red shirt. If they've got a red shirt on, that the red means stop, back off, let them be independent. And the green shirt means, come into my space and help me. I'm just a kid. I need you as an adult to be right there. And sometimes you have shirts that sometimes they're wearing a shirt that's just red and green stripes, and that's very confusing to you as a parent, but it's also confusing to them. But if you keep those needs in mind, it'll help you be a little more flexible and adaptable to what your child needs in any given situation. Another example would be in a younger child. When I was raising kids, and my wife and I were raising kids, one of the things we were really concerned about was children's exposure to media. And so we were very, very tight and conservative when they were young because we believed that at that impressionable age, there was more likelihood of something that they see to cause anxiety or be overwhelming or be disturbing or agitating. When children get older, they have more of a sense of self. They have more of a solid defense structure, and they're able to kind of sort through more things. With little children, you want to be much more protective. You don't want to let a 6-year-old be walking in and out of the room where you're watching a Stephen King movie. It's just not a good idea because the child at that age has a very limited ability to separate reality from fantasy. And so it can be almost traumatizing for them to even hear things from the other room that might be going on in that movie. On the other hand, if you do that and you help them learn how to be selective themselves about what kinds of media input they consume, then by the time they get to high school, you really can back off quite a bit and just let them make their own choices. You would also want to, you may want to stipulate, depending on the child, that you want to talk about what they saw. But generally, if you teach them how to be careful early on, they will censor themselves from certain things because they'll just recognize that that's not good for them. So these are just a few examples of why it makes sense to pay attention to the needs that are characteristic of each stage of a child's life. And if you do that, your job is easier, and it is much more, what you're trying to do with them is much more effective and gives better results. Thanks for listening to the Steps and Tools for Emotional Intelligence podcast.